Hey, sorry for the interruption, but we wanted to let you know that this week's episode is brought to you by Spotify for Podcasters. Really cool app. Josiah and I use it for every single show that we bring to you every week. You can edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so you can start creating as soon as you log into the platform. You can easily distribute your podcasts to Spotify and everywhere else the podcasts are heard, just like we do every single week. You can also create video podcasts on Spotify, which is really cool. And of course, you can earn money like I'm doing right now by including ads and even podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free. There's no catch. We really love it. We use it every single week. So we encourage you to go download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. All right, let's get back to the show.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Print on Demand Cast. Each week, join Travis and Josiah as they provide insight into the print-on-demand industry and equip you with the tools, advice, and strategy you need to achieve success and hopefully have a few laughs along the way. Now, on to this week's show.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Print on Demand Cast. As always, I'm Josiah, joined by Travis. And Travis, you just got back from celebrating your anniversary. You're in Montrose, Colorado. Tell us a little bit about the adventures that Southwest was putting you through before you were able to get here and record this episode.
Yeah, today was a little crazy day. We actually flew into Montrose and then drove to Ouray, Colorado, which is an amazing place. It's just stunning. Yeah. You're basically in this town, and all around you are these huge mountains. And we've got some great pictures. They have a hot springs there. We hung out at, and we had really nice dinners every night, and it was a lot of fun. And so we were supposed to come back Sunday. Saturday, I got a text that said your flight has been canceled. You need to call this number. And so okay. So I guess all of the flights had been canceled on Sunday due to high winds in the Denver area. So,
Sure.
Montrose is in the west, in the west part of the state, and Denver's more centrally, more towards the east. And so you have to fly over all these mountains, and so they cancel all the flights. And so we had to extend our stay, which, wah, right, not too broken
Could be
up
worse.
Over it. Yeah, exactly. So then today we, got back, and I was able to make sure that I had to rechange the flight so I could get back early enough to do this interview that we're doing for Print on Demand Cast, which is pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's it's good to hear that you were able to make it safely. I know over the weekend, planes were losing engines and crazy stuff, like United flights losing engines over Colorado.
Yeah, in Broomfield, which is where my shop is. Luckily, my shop is still standing.
You could have got an engine rim something just through the roof, because it came crazy close to this dude's house and jacked up his truck. And our mutual friend who works for, he's I can't even think of the word. What does Bobby do? He works for the
air traffic control.
Air traffic control.
Yeah.
Yes, he was telling me that there was even more crazier stuff happened. Flights dropping off radars, and just crazy stuff happening over the weekend. And so, yeah, man, super glad you're here. And we're super excited, rather, to get into this interview with RJ Martinez, talking about KDP, which I think is something that not a lot of people know about, but it's massively important to, you can leverage it really well with your print on demand business.
Yeah, I mean, so as the Print on Demand Cast, goes, we try to figure out different ways that people are using print on demand in their day-to-day businesses. And KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, is it's a legit print on demand wing or can be a part of your business that can be really profitable. I know probably a lot of our listeners are already doing it and know way more than we do. I'm excited to talk to RJ because he does know a lot more than us, and I think we're going to get taken to school here.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Really looking forward to it. So without further ado, let's go to our interview with the one and only RJ Martinez.
Ladies and gentlemen, the main event.
Travis, I'm super excited for the guests that we have for this particular episode because it's a subject that neither you or I know a whole lot about. We're going to be talking about KDP, and joining us today is RJ Martinez. RJ, thank you so much, man, for taking time to join us on the show. Welcome to the Print on Demand cast.
Thank you very much for having me on. By the way, I didn't say that. Did my audio sound good? Are we good?
Yeah, I think we're good.
You sound great, man.
Okay, all right. Yeah, man. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about KDP with you guys, and yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, RJ, I mean, I know I've known you for quite a while, and tried to get you to come to my conference a while back, and I'm gonna, kind of bust your chops a little bit about that because you let me down then. But I still got much love for you, even though you're wearing that Raiders hat right now. But I do know. I do know from the background. I mean, from our relationship, I know that you don't just do KDP. You do a lot of things print on demand. So just to start out the interview, I'd love to hear kind of you just share the story. What got you into print on demand? Kind of what are you doing in the print on demand world, and just share with our audience kind of what you're doing these days.
Yeah, man. So I first started off when I first started doing print on demand. Before print on demand, I was doing FBA, right? Selling shoes. I was selling a lot of shoes, and going to Marshalls and stuff like that, and buying shoes and flipping them. And I kind of figured out there's a few ways to, you can buy gift cards and get them at a discounted rate, and you can go in and you can save like an extra 20% off. And don't talk about it, because if you talk about it, all the other FBA sellers are going to start buying up all the gift cards and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, cool. I won't say nothing. And then, you know what I mean? And so I started off like that. I was like, dude, this is crazy, because as you start to learn stuff, you learn even more and more as you go along. You start doing FBA. And then I heard about print on demand. I started doing books, and I mean, not books, but shoes. And I was like, dude, I'm over here doing 15 hours a day, like breaking my back. And I was like, print on demand. What is print on demand? I can put like a product up. A design up on a product, right? My shitty design up on a product, and it'll make sales. And I was like, dude, okay, let's see what this is about. Then I put it up on a T-shirt, right, on Merch by Amazon. I put it up on a T-shirt, and then it started making sales. The next day, I put it at cost, which was back in the day. I think it was like $12 or something like that on a T-shirt, and or $12 in December, whatever it was. And then it made like 10 sales the next day. So I was like, oh, okay.
Wow. So you got in pretty early then, yeah?
Yeah.
Merch by Amazon?
I was like 3 months when it opened up. I was like 3 months, and I applied 3 months later, and then I got approved 3 months later or something like that, but then started making sales. I didn't take it seriously like the first year, and then I started messing around with it, and then I was like, you know what? Like, I need to take this seriously, because if I put an effort into it, I can probably make more money and save a lot of time instead of doing all this. Going to Marshalls and scanning shoes and people looking at me funny because I'm buying up all the shoes and
right.
Yeah. But hey, dude, the employees were always happy because I always got them a pizza party, right? Because they made their sales quota. And I was like, dude, I'm the one that's doing this. Where's my pizza? You know what I mean? So it started off like that, man. And I started making sales, and I thought it was freaking amazing opportunity when I seen the potential, when I started putting the work in and doing it. And I was like, dude, okay. So I started off with I outsourced my designer, right? I outsourced a designer. And when I outsourced a designer, because I suck at designing, I don't know nothing about designing. So I learned like I had to be like, my communication had to be really good, because he's doing this type of design work for me. And then I started uploading designs, and like that first month, like it went on Merch by Amazon from 0 to 400. And then after that, I went from 400 to 2,000, and then from 2,000 to 4,000, and 6,000. And then, then I started kind of consistently making sales every single month, and making, that good royalty paycheck every single month that's paying for the cost of living. Yeah. And I thought it was really cool. And I'm talking about royalties, by the way. So, it's averaging that amount. I'm not talking about sales, because I can say, oh yeah, I make $100,000 in sales, and because it's easy that much, right? But then the royalties and stuff like that, it's take home and all that stuff. It's it's roughly around. But it's really cool. And then it opened up my eyes. I was like, dude, okay. Now I create content, help other people on several different platforms. I have a Facebook group. I create TikTok videos. create YouTube content, and I've been trying to consistently stay with that, averaging like 2 to 3 videos a month for almost like a year now. I mean, every week for almost like a year now, and 2 to 3 videos a week, and then actually just create TikTok videos. It could be I average like 1 to 2 videos a day all over there, and then I started doing Clubhouse, and then taking care of the group, managing the group, and all that stuff. So I'm doing a lot of stuff, but I have a team in place to help me out with all this stuff too as well, as far as like hiring VAs and outsourcing and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't for them. So that's it all teamwork makes the dream work, right? And I think
Sure.
it's really cool, man. It's really cool.
I think I sold that shirt.
Yeah, exactly. RJ, are you doing any other channels besides Amazon as far as your print on demand? Are you doing anything on like Walmart, Etsy, like that? Any of the other platforms selling your print on demand stuff, your shirts, what have you?
No, not. No, I was doing Etsy, and then I got my account suspended. Right. I got that account suspended. It hurt me a little bit, man. I made a video of that on my channel. The reason why I started doing Etsy is because people wanted to learn about it. So I started creating content around it, and then next thing you know, it started taking off, and it was doing like a good 6 to 8K a month. Yeah. And it's crazy, man. It's crazy because I seen it as a freaking. I'm cool to talk about it because it was just a stepping stone, something to learn about myself as an individual as I'm growing and stuff. Dude, it hurt me, dude. I was crying like the first 3 days, man. Like that first night, I was my girl, and I went and had some drinks, and then she's like, I was on the end of the bed. She's like, "You're crying last night, you remember?" And I was like, "No." I was like, stop bringing up old stuff. Because, it was literally, it was doing like 6 to 8K a month consistently. And I had it all, all streamlined, teamed in place for my VA, doing all the designs on mock-ups and all that stuff. And then boom. And I was just trying to figure out what it was. And honestly, they're just still trying to figure out to this day. But I think from my understanding, it was cool because I can actually show someone how much I made with Etsy, just by showing them one source of income when I was moving. So I was like, cool, I don't have to show them my other sources of income. I can just show them Etsy, and that's all they need, right? So I was moving to a new spot, and then I was open IP address, and I used a random computer, right? And they had a computer that like, we just need to see proof of income and all that stuff, and if you can print out whatever. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll show them my Etsy and show them all my stats and stuff like that, and they can see how much I'm making a year over here on Etsy. And then when I showed them that, 20 minutes later, boom, email, suspension. I was like, what? Wow. So it turned into something like happy, and it turned into something like I was happy about it, and then it kind of went like a roller coaster, emotional roller coaster, and kind of messing with my emotions in my head. Sure. I was like, dude, oh. So then I kind of like from there on, I was like, dude, this is crazy because you think that you're crushing it with one platform, and literally it can just take a change for the worse. And I think part of like the learning process and stuff like that, right? And I don't like when people say you shouldn't leave your eggs in one basket, because I very more of a no shit. You know what I mean? You shouldn't leave your eggs in one basket, but you just, it's like you were being a smart ass to them. Like you don't say like what's the option? Like, okay, you're leaving your eggs in one basket, but what's the solution to that? What can you do to help someone? Instead of saying a smart remark like to somebody, like what else can you do? Right?
Yeah,
sure.
No, that's good. I mean, I totally agree with you. I mean, that's why, for those of you listeners who don't know who RJ is, he's got a great YouTube channel. I actually came on a few weeks ago, talked about Walmart as another place to put your eggs, and so, but I love what you're saying, man, because what I hear you saying is like, don't just say, don't put all your eggs in one basket, actually help people diversify their eggs, and I think that's what you're doing. That's why, that's why I got respect for what you're doing. You're actually showing people, how to put their eggs in more than one basket. And that's one of the reasons we're having you on. So you can kind of show us, Josiah and I always say we're the first listeners, so we get to learn, before we release the podcast and all that, we get to learn, and neither one of us really do much with KDP. I did KDP like 4 or 5 years ago, wrote a couple books that we released on Kindle, and but I haven't done anything with it. And I know now you can like do all these other things, and it's become a pretty cool platform. So I want to jump into that here soon, but I wanted to ask you, like, how big is your team that you've got? Because I think I love scaling. That's one of my things. I love, helping people, start with a VA maybe, and then maybe get 2 VAs, and maybe, and just kind of grow like that. I'd love to hear, like, how big is your team, and what types of tasks do you have each one of them doing, or are they just kind of random, and how does that work on the back end for your business?
So I have a total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 people right now. Total of 5 people. One's that's been working with me for about like 3 to 4 years. Okay, and then he's like the designer and stuff, and he's like the typography and the illustrations. And then I have 2 guys. I have one guy that's been with me for about 2 years. He's the main illustrator, and he pretty much he draws like a lot of the illustrations and stuff like that. The idea behind that is kind of just to create less competition for myself when it comes to designs and stuff like that, because you can see a lot of people using like designs from like our vectors from paid websites and stuff like that. But how many people are using those vectors and redistribute them throughout their own designs and stuff like that? And I think you'll start to create more competition for yourself if you start to do that. At first, it's cool to start off like that, but then as you start to grow, you'll have to ask yourself, how are you going to improve to make yourself better and make you stand out from everyone else? Because if you're doing what everyone else is doing, what's the chances of you making a sale or, on a certain platform? So you start to study yourself and try to beat yourself and be better than what you were last year. So then after that guy right there, I have another illustrator that I just got on recently, and one person comes, another person leaves, you know what I mean? So I kind of do that a little bit throughout the year, but I think it's just it's a part of the learning process, right? Because sometimes it may not fit for that individual, and they're not happy no more, and that's perfectly fine, right? Because then they can just go ahead and leave. I don't want you not to be happy on my team. And then another one I have is there's another illustrator that I just got. He's like in a month trial right now, and he's freaking good. He's crushing it right now with different illustrations. And it makes me so happy to see someone that's very creative, and they like to, just take their work to that level and challenge themselves. And I see that. I'm just like a very big supporter of that type of stuff. And then the next would be like a video editor that I have. And that's how I'm breaking out the content, right? Because I can't do that all by myself. If I was just focusing all on that, it would really take a ton of time for just edit videos, man. It's crazy, right? And I'm just like, dude, and I see people do their videos and their content like on YouTube. I'm just like, dude, how long did that even take? And it's like, you know what I mean? So, and then I have an SEO guy to help me with listings and stuff like that on the back end of all my print-on-demand platforms and stuff that I'm on. Because and that's very important, and I think a lot of you guys know that too when it comes to SEO and research, like all that stuff. It's a big game changer if you do it correctly, because you can literally take a product from selling 1 to 2 a day to 5 to 10 a day, just like that, just to switching up keywords and learning how customers are searching for products on the internet. And it depends on the platform, of course. But I think that's a big game changer, and it's a topic that we can kind of we can crush that just in one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a whole nother podcast right there.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. So that's pretty much my team right there, and it's really cool to just have all this all working together and moving together, and communication's key at the end of the day when it comes to all that right there, right? So. Skype and Slack or WhatsApp or whatever the heck you're using. I was talking to, usually Mondays, I like to talk to my team. So I talked to 2 guys before I got on this call with you guys. And yeah, it was really cool. And just to check up and make sure everything's good and making sure like their workflow and everything. And if there's anything that I can do to help achieve what they're trying to accomplish this week. Because at the end of the day, if they don't accomplish it, it's my fault, and it's not their fault. It's my fault. So.
Sure. That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's good to hear. I know Travis and I both, we have VAs, and it's always cool to hear how people are utilizing that tool, because not a lot of people know about VAs and how beneficial they can be to your company, and how, it can help you with productivity so much. Like you said, doing the stuff that would usually take you so much time ends up taking you away from working on the business. And so they're a huge, huge advantage to bring on board on any team, I think, any business. So, man, as we progress here, we're going to talk about KDP, and like Travis said, neither here I know a whole lot about KDP. So why don't you start for those listening as well? What is KDP, and how did you kind of stumble on it when you were on your print on demand journey?
Yeah, so it happened. I think it was like in 2019 at the beginning of the year. I think the first book that I created a coloring book, and I had all these line drawings, like because after you fill in so you can fill in the illustration. So the line drawing, you fill it in with all the colors and stuff and the shading and all that stuff. And then it's the illustration. And then the line drawing is like basically before you've put all in all the, all the ink stuff. I got that correct. But I was just had these line drawings just laying around. I was like, dude, it's like, this is an asset right here. I can create something with this. Right. And I think, what would be really dope is to create a coloring book. Like, you know what I mean? So like where I come from, it's like, dude, that would be amazing. Because I don't know. I love the idea behind it and the theme behind it. Yeah. And I think it would be cool for just like kids in general, right? So I created something, and then I put it up, and then it started selling. I was like, oh, dude, see, this is like, there's no competition here, right?
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool. And I was like, dude. So I was like, how can I put this in place? Does this make sense for me to do this with the illustrations that I have? And I was like, yes, it does. It's easy. So as we're creating and working on designs and stuff like that, with these illustrations, it just makes sense to take out the color and to put them into coloring books, right? Sure. And like whatever you decide to do, whatever you can even create. I was like, at this point, like I can even create children's books, right? And people even think like just a little short story, right? People overthink like, okay, you have to have this best, the best illustrate or like a crazy book. You have to write all kinds of pages and stuff. And I'm just like, I'm far from that. I sucked at like English and like school, and it's my only language, right? Yeah. I would hate to read in front of the class, right? I would get nervous, and people think that in order for you to be a published author, that you have to write some like high quality novel,
Steinbeck quality kids novel or something.
And so I was like, you know what? Like, we have this already. We have these assets. We can put them into a book and just start creating stuff. And then next thing you know, like you start having a little bit of fun with it. And I was like, dude, this is a dope coloring book right here. And then next thing you know, it's like it's number one in its niche. And then I create a second one that's number one in its niche again. So I was like, dude, okay, this is what I'm talking about. And then as I start to grow and start to learn, that okay, now I can like maybe teach kids how to do stuff, right? And so like, maybe if I just go down that, right, maybe teach kids like what they're not learning in school right now, or what they can't learn in school no more. What can I do to fix that problem for a parent, right? And then next thing you're fixing the problem, and then you have another number one seller in a niche, and you're just like, you can't find this nowhere in school no more because they're not teaching it. So if I could teach it in a book to a kid, I can make money. And then and then it's another like number one seller that you never even knew about. You just ended up creating it because you thought it would be cool. And I was like, okay, cool. I just created a whole niche for myself, and I just created more work for myself. Good job. Proud of you.
So KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, there's two kind of ways you can go with it. You can make Kindle books, so just ebook. And that's what I did years ago. I actually had like a mystery series. I think I had like 3 or 4 books. I'm not even going to say the name because they were really bad. But I did that years ago, and I made a few $100, and I'm sure the royalty things have changed and all of that. But the other side of it is like, it sounds like what you're doing is actual physical print on demand books, soft cover, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then how do they, like, again, we don't know anything about this. Where do they sell? Is that like do you have to have a Seller Central account, or how do you sell these things? Like, how long does it take to get to the customer? How much are these coloring books selling for? How much are you putting in your pocket? Kind of give us all of the nitty gritty details.
Yeah. So I focus on more on the paperback version of the books, like you said, and like it's cool because you can offer like 2 different styles of the covers. They're supposed to be coming out with hardcovers pretty soon, but I do like the glossy finish. There's like the matte finish and there's a glossy finish on the book. But depending on the niche, right? Of course, like coloring books, it can no less than 40 pages per book. But it just the whole process, dude. It took me like 2 months to figure out because I keep on getting my book rejected because I was like the wrong size, and it can be frustrating at first, and you'll kind of like, all right, I'm gonna come back to this next week, and then you put it off, and then you come back to it, and you're just like, okay, cool, I finally got it, and it's approved. I'm a published author on Amazon. You know what I mean? It's a whole different ball game because like I noticed that when I go out to places and they ask you, what do you do for a living? I was like, oh yeah, I sell T-shirts online. And then they're like, oh yeah, that's cool. But then if you say, yeah, I'm a published author on Amazon, they're like, whoa.
Yeah, bring some respect to the name.
Yeah,
exactly.
All of a sudden they start buying you drinks.
Yeah, I'm like, oh. So, and then what kind of books? I'm like, you don't want to see. It's like, none of your business. So, yeah, man, it's crazy because then, like I said, those just start to take off, and I'm accumulating reviews and stuff on the book. But yeah, so the biggest issue that I would see someone facing when they're trying to sign up and do all this stuff, because it's free to sign up, by the way. You're not taking care of none of the customer service. You're not taking care of none of the shipping, that stuff. You just, it's actually almost like a digital download in a way. But they're getting the actual physical copy of the book. The ebook is more of like the digital download, but they're getting a physical copy of the book. Shipping times are like, it can be anywhere from one business. I see some of my books, like if it's like the number one seller in the niche, they're getting like 1 day shipping times.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's insane for them to actually get the order, print the book, and ship it out. So obviously I would guess that if you do have a high BSR, bestseller rank in a particular category, they're probably printing more than just as you order. Maybe they have some type of algorithm that says, okay, this particular niche, if you have a number one bestseller, we're going to print 10, knowing that we're going to sell those in a day or two right off the bat. I mean, I'm just totally guessing, but if they're getting shipping times in 1 day, man, it'd be really hard for me to believe that they're literally printing it and shipping it that fast. But I mean, maybe they are. Maybe they've got it down that good. That's crazy.
So like it was kind of cool because like with merch by Amazon, I'll go back to that because it's just the shipping times were like delayed a lot, right? And then with everything with the pandemic going on in 2020 and the COVID and all that stuff hit in March, a lot of the books like a lot of the books that I had on there listed, like the BSRs were easy and low. And I was like, whoa, okay, this is a game changer. Like it's a lot of kids, like they stopped going. This is where I learned this from too, as well. They stopped going to school, right? And schools were closed and they couldn't do certain things. So a lot of at home homeschooling type of books, from educational books and all this stuff, started crushing it on there. And I was like, whoa. And then not only that, just with even just coloring books in general started crushing it on there because there was a high demand for all this. And I was like, this is crazy, man. So that's what I seen all that, all this like play a big role. And I didn't even know what to do neither, like at the time, because, we're all kind of like, I'm not sure if you guys have felt any type of way, but I'm a people person. So when I see people like struggling, I don't like to see that, man. I just I care about people and stuff like that. I don't want nothing bad to happen to nobody, right? And then I'm just like, I seen all this big effect on people. I'll go to the store, to the grocery store. I'm seeing people like, whoa, okay, this is I got to figure this out, making sure. I didn't know what was going to happen, but KDP is just like, with all that still going on, they're getting stuff to customers in 1 to 2 days still. And with merch, with a lot of the stuff, a lot of the shipping times kind of got delayed and stuff with all this going on. And even in Q4, a lot of the stuff gets delayed too with merch by Amazon. But with KDP, they seem like they have a better system in place as far as and of course they're two different. They're two different programs, of course, but you can see with the book, it seems like it's getting shipped faster. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they have that part streamlined compared printing a shirt compared to printing a book. Yeah, and I think this is really cool because this is like a big insight because you can see it, like the shipping times for a shirt, and you're seeing a month out, 2 weeks out, and then with the book, it stays pretty consistent. So
I mean, it could just be volume too. I mean, like maybe Merch by Amazon is just 50 times the volume that KDP is. I mean, again, just totally throwing that out as a guess, but man, that is crazy. That and if that is the case, then it would be really smart for people to jump into KDP. Yeah. Because that would just kind of give. You would think that would mean that there's less competition. I don't know that there necessarily is, but I'm sure that there are still some underserved niches in the book space. So tell us about the royalties. Like what like I was asking, what are you selling things for, and what do you make on these things?
So I list a lot of my books at anywhere between $6.99 to $7.99. Okay, and it can be anywhere between like $2 to $3 per book.
Okay,
right. But the thing is like once you start to kind of get that volume going, you like if you get the volume going on one it depends like the season and stuff like that. One book can make over $1,000 for the month, right? Wow. And then once you get the volume going on, you just say like you have a consistent seller, number one seller, you can make anywhere between $300 to $500 a month just for one book. And I think it's cool because you're not holding no inventory, you're not taking nothing, and and then
it's all royalties.
And then the ship, like I said, the shipping times are just like a FBA product, so you're kind of getting like that, like the FBA volume, search volume, and stuff like that, and you're just cranking it out. So it's pretty cool. Not only that, too, when you order them and you get your physical copy of the book, you kind of see, okay, how can I? That's what you ask yourself too. It's like when I get something in a physical copy of it, how can I keep this customer to color? Like, how can I get this customer to color throughout the whole book, day to the very end, and go all the way to page, whatever. And then next, what else can I get them to buy the next book? Stuff like that. So I think about these things, but actually to have a physical copy and show friends when they come over, like, hey, check this out right here. What do you think about this? And I'm like, oh, that's dope. I'm like, yeah.
That's awesome.
Should I tell them I published that book and made it? Or should I just not keep it secret?
Yeah, exactly. Do you, in your experience, have you done much of the Kindle, like the direct download stuff? Do you make more royalty-wise when you're just doing a direct download since they're not printing, using physical goods to print the book? Is there a difference royalty-wise? And have you done any of the digital download stuff since doing KDP?
No, I haven't. See, that's something that I definitely would love, like, kind of get into next. But I haven't done that at all. But I was thinking more of that right there will kind of be more of like content creating for like myself as me personally.
Sure.
I would think like stuff that I can create to help people start a business online or start selling shirts online or start selling books online, stuff like that. Because I see a lot of these people that capitalize like depending on what's going on. So for example, like Bitcoin and all that stuff. I know a lot of people like on the print on demand community are creating stuff like this to kind of get people the insight on it. So I can see something like that just to kind of give people an idea of if you see something going on in the world right now and you can capitalize on something like this and teaching people how to do something, it's easy, right? There's so many ways you can make money, especially if you have an insight on it. And then if you create a book about it, dude, it's golden right there.
I know some people that are also using KDP to like pair with other products. So they might be selling a kitchen gadget or something like that, and then they pair it with. Sometimes they'll pair it with a digital download, but other people are actually pairing it with an actual physical cookbook. So they do the KDP and maybe they put the price really low, and just order, however many cookbooks that they need to then send in to FBA. with their actual kitchen gadget. And it does two things. It creates extra value for the customer, but it also makes it really hard for people to knock your product off. And, like as a copycat, finding the same gadget over, on Alibaba in China or whatever, and just jumping on and hijacking your listing, because now there's two physical products. There's the gadget and the book. So that's, that's just one way that people are, one business model that people are using KDP for. I wonder if you've run into any. It sounds like your business model is just content. You're basically taking your ad that you have, the illustrations without the color, and because you have these illustrators already doing it, it's just kind of like, why not use that? Which is a great. That's why I'm in print on demand. Period. Because I had a Merch by Amazon account. I had designs, and I said, why not put it on a coffee mug? And that launched me into, where I'm at today. So I'm just wondering if there's any other business models you've heard people using KDP for that you can, I know that's kind of putting you on the spot, but I just wondered if there's anything that you can think of.
No, I think it's, there's like several, this is the cool thing about this, because there's never like no right way, right, to do one thing, right? And I love it because when I say it that way, you can tell who's narrow-minded and who's not, and that pushes the people that I don't want to talk to right off the bus, right? Get out of here. So there's of course the coloring books, like stuff like that. You can do stuff like that, but then there's I think it's part of the low content too, coloring books. But then there's like stuff for like making candles, and I created a business around this too as well. It's called Pixel Pod Studio to help beginners. So like what that is we just supply like 10 interiors a month to people, and I created a business model around that.
10 but as interiors, what do you mean? What's 10 interiors?
10 interiors a month. Yeah, to kind of like, so for example, like candle making, like log books and stuff like that. So there's actual like log books and like meal prepping planners and stuff like that. And different niches that are created. Let me see. Hold on a second. So
this is where we'll play like some fun music.
No, like people are like creating like notary books, snowboarding, migraine. You know what I mean? So there's different types of kayaking. See, I can't tell you everything because then you go on my niches. Like
talk slower. I'm writing it all down.
3D printing, right?
Yeah.
So there's all this stuff like different like tracking types of log books and stuff like that. So you can kind of go that route, right? And just kind of see what people need and try to create a book for them. As like weightlifting, like anything at the gym or anything that you do daily to kind of keep track of. There's always a demand for that, right? Sure. So it's big. It's big. It's like there's so much out there that you can capitalize on with this. And then not only that, there's like B2B stuff. So you can go to actual physical business and be like, hey, it sounds better to say like, I'll create you a book and then you can kind of capture them later on I'll make you a t-shirt too as well. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's your book line that will say, for example, let's say like a beer tasting, right? And go to because San Diego's big. They have a lot of breweries out here. You can capitalize on, making a beer tasting book for like a brewery, right? And then put their logo in front of the, and then you can order them copies and have them, and then next thing you know it, that's actually an excuse for you to talk to the next brewery next. Like, hey, I created these books for this brewery down the street. Let me create this for you, right? Let me create this one for you as well. Kind of go down that road. And then sushi. So I love sushi. There's a lot of sushi spots out here. Same thing with that, like sushi tasting, right? You can there's customers that will say, like in the Yelp reviews, they'll say, I've been going to this business for years and It's like, well, you know what I mean? Been trying all this sushi. Here's a book for you. You probably enjoy this. You could try this one next, and kind of mark it down. So there's that route too. And literally just opens up for, well, not only do I do books, I do t-shirts too. So let me put your, your logo up on Amazon. You can purchase or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's, all of this, just as you're talking, I have a dozen different ideas of how I can use KDP, and I'm writing down who I need to talk to and present these ideas. But again, I'm a novice. So, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners out there are as well. How do you start? What's the process going back to the beginning? How does someone sign up, and what's the process to getting their stuff submitted, and kind of walk us through that process as if, we're going to sign up for a KDP account right now.
So the last time I think I signed up was like 3 years ago. But so when you sign up, what I did was, put on all my information and all that stuff, U.S. bank account, all that stuff. As far as like creating, so just the basic like stuff that you need to create up for a KDP account, right? Your name and all that stuff. And there's a whole, I'm gonna have to see the whole thing, but let me see. As far as like I want to say like the hardest part, all that stuff is like basic information as far as when you're creating basic information. But as far as creating the listing and all that stuff, that is the most difficult part, because a lot of people get caught up on sizing of the interior, sizing of the cover, because you got to remember that when they're actually like the machines are printing all this stuff. So if they run into an error and they send it to the customer and it's like the cover is way off and the sizing is all messed up. That was like one of the biggest challenges that I faced personally when I was creating my first book. I was like, dude, I'm going to have to come back to this later on, because it's turning into like a bigger problem than I expected. And just one little dimension off, or the text is too close to the edge of the book.
The blade line, right.
They're being cut and all that stuff by the machine. They will reject it, and then you literally, when you submit a book, it takes about, it depends what it is, but it like before it used to be like approved within like 1 to 2 days. Now it's like more people are coming on. It's taking like anywhere to 5 to 7 days, depending on what type of book you're creating. And literally it takes, and it's being pushed back a little bit more because as more people are coming on, like I said, they're putting more books up. So that right there was like the biggest challenge when it came to KDP. Other than that, signing up and all that stuff, it's easy. It's walk up, you do it easy, but that right there was.
Do they provide templates of any kind that you can download when you're making the art? Like, how did you overcome that obstacle? Did you have to just trial by fire and keep adjusting, or do they provide any kind of templates that you can kind of provide a designer and work that stuff out easier?
Yeah, so they have all that on the back end. They have pretty much all the templates and all that stuff. But depending, so the thing is, each cover is going to be different depending on how many pages you have on inside of the book. So if it's 120 pages, there's a certain spec that you have to hit, and that will be all in the back end with KDP. They show you all that. But then if you create a different book, like say if you create 160 pages, the sizing of the cover is going to be different because the book is going to be a little bit more thicker, and the spine has to be a little bit more, it's a different size now. And then literally by you doing that and messing that part up will mess up everything. You're like, oh, dude, I gotta go back into the whole process again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow. So, that's good times, man. So little bit of a trial by fire. So so would you say that one business model would just be kind of like doing as many books as you possibly can, as opposed to like one work of art that you put all of your blood, sweat, and tears. In other words, if I'm starting, what are some of the goals that I should have? And obviously, each person is going to have individual business goals, but I'm saying like more of a generality. What would you say to optimize my results and, get the best kind of results I can? What kind of advice would you give me?
So we can start off like the goal is to create a brand, right? So there's it's called Author Central, and this is pretty cool because it kind of like it sets it up and gives you all your analytics on the back end and all that stuff. It's almost like a Seller Central for KDP.
Nice.
But it's an Author Central. So you set that up and then you start putting books under that one brand. But the thing was like when I was looking at all this stuff, when I was uploading, I started making sales with certain books, and I paid attention to like what was selling in my niche under my brand. And that kind of like, it's telling you, right? It's telling you like this book is crushing it, right? You need more of this book. You need to start making more of this book. So literally that's what I started doing is started making coloring books around that certain book. And then next thing you know, that book is selling. And then that book is selling. And then, you know what I mean? One of the books that I have is on track to do over 100 reviews this year. And I'm just like, cool, because I already know that last year it made a good amount of money, but this year it's going to make even more money. And it's crazy because as you start to get that sales velocity going, you're going to start crushing it in that niche. And literally, only thing you have to do, it's not rocket science. You just got to make more of that book, right? But you definitely do want to make a good quality book because with a lot of the print on demand is getting tossed around a little bit because, you know, people from overseas are starting to, you know, understand how easy it is to do print on demand and throw designs up on products and then just like flood the platform. Right. And the algorithms are kind of like catching on to that type of stuff and like, you know, not showing that product, less of that product. Right. And they see that, okay, if I show it to a customer 100 times and no one's purchased it, obviously this product sucks. We're going to push it to page 5. Right. And it seems like the algorithms are getting better and better at that. And I think that's really cool. But as far as like I really recommend you create a good quality book. Right. And like I told you, like when I order a book, I look at it and it's like, okay, what can I do to make this person purchase, click on my book to make a purchase on it, right? And I'm asking myself that all the time. What's going to make them click, first of all, right? What's going to make me get that click? And do the same thing with YouTube too as well. Like what am I going to be able to do to drive traffic with these?
It's that thumbnail, you know? It's that thumbnail. How's that cover looking?
Yeah, so exactly. So the cover is the thumbnail, right? So you got the good keywords, you're driving the traffic. So what's going to make them click? Are you going to give the customer what they want? Give the algorithm what they want? Literally, if you start doing that, you start crushing, right? So it's like you're playing mind games with yourself in a way. But once you start to learn all this stuff, it's cool because like SEO is very important, but also the book's important too. Everything plays a big role. And then description, all that stuff. And you give the algorithm what it wants, give the customer what they want. It's over then. Like you're going to learn how to do that and you perfect that and it's rinse and repeat. Because there's no reason why if you have one top selling book, you can't have 2. You can't have 3. You can have 10, 20, 30, 40 and just crush it out that way. But don't just go onto the platform like, oh yeah, I'm going to spam the shit out of this platform and then make $10,000 the first month. Like, it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't.
Sure.
Like maybe back in the day it did. But now as the algorithm starts to kind of, they see how things are working, they know what works, and it seems like that's what the algorithm is learning. And I think that's really cool for us, right? Because we can create a good quality product that stands out and makes sales.
That's awesome, man. Like I said, this is super, super awesome information. I'm learning a lot and, again, lots of ideas. So let's tell the listeners, you know, you mentioned you do coaching calls and stuff like that. So tell people, one, what you can offer as far as your coaching calls, this kind of services you provide, and then how they can find you and where they can find your content if they want to learn more about KDP, print on demand, your journey, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, man. So, YouTube, right? I create a lot of content on there. I create a lot of free content, like with coaching and all that stuff too, as well. I literally put out a lot of free content that works. Like, well, that's what you're supposed to do, right? Sure. But a lot of the stuff that I provide, I did a coaching call this morning, right? And I'm just like, dude, watch this video. Like, everything that I'm going to tell you right now is in this video, right? Yeah. And I was just like, but I'm going to repeat it to you. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about with your actual product. I'm going to show you rip your product apart and put SEO, all that stuff in there. So YouTube is RJ Martinez. TikTok is RJ Hustles. Instagram is RJ Hustles. Snapchat's RJ Hustles, and then the Facebook groups. I got a Merch by Amazon Mastermind, KDP, Kindle Direct Mastermind. I think that's what it is. And then Clubhouse. I got RJ Hustles on there too as well. I'm going to be talking about KDP tomorrow. I'll be talking about it tomorrow over there too. So I'm very active over there on Clubhouse. Awesome. I go over a lot of stuff over there too as well, and I've been growing my following over there too. I had over 100 followers in 1 week over there.
Nice.
Because learning the algorithm and learning how it works and stuff like that, and creating content that helps people out. So I'm a big fan of that. But yeah, no, as far as that, like I produce a lot of content over there, like on YouTube, just to help people out. Sure. I base it off of what I do, right? And what I mess up on. if I get my Etsy account suspended, I'll go make content on it to help people not do that mistake that I've done.
Right.
And it's a learning experience. It's a learning experience for everybody, right?
Yeah.
But
sure.
I wish I knew what happened so I can actually make content on it to actually tell people don't do this, right? So they don't really they leave you hanging and not telling you what happened. So I think it's crazy because it's drama, right? And it's like one of the best videos on my YouTube channel. I'm like, no, don't make that one the best video on my YouTube channel. So, and then like, there's like, for example, like I talk about like Redbubble over there. That's another print-on-demand platform. But people, like, they love that stuff over there. And for some reason, like that's like one of the top performing pieces of the topics on my channel. That topic does really well on my channel. It's weird. It's just weird. And then, of course, over there on TikTok, I make more straight to the point content, but I chop up a lot of the pieces that I do over my YouTube channel and put it over there and kind of just bring more attention to it. And it's easier to bring more attention to it over there. And I made some Walmart print on demand content over there, and that did really well over there. And I directed it back to Travis's interview that I did on my channel. He's trying to take over my channel with that interview. So,
oh yeah, there it is.
But he's a good person though, so I don't mind him doing that because he's helpful. So, and not bring people down and stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of people being mean to other people, because I think that also too, to kind of touch on that a little bit. A lot of people are. I don't like when people use their influence to bully other people.
Sure.
That's not a cool thing to do, and I think that's bullshit, because you shouldn't do. You should be bringing up people and making an example of what needs to be done right in the community, instead of someone creating a post and everyone bashes them, because that's what it is. At the end of the day, it's bullying. Being a bully. I don't like when people bullies to each other. That's not cool at all. So and so I'm here to make an influence and help people out and reach new people and meet new people, and that's the fun thing about outsourcing too, as well. You get to meet new people and help others out and change their life.
Well, man, after you said that whole thing about bullying, I really feel bad about bashing your Raiders hat. Oh, wait, no, I don't.
That's a different thing. That's different. That's different.
Well, I want to make sure. I just want to make sure our listeners know all these links for RJ's stuff's going to be in our show notes. And RJ, I'll get it after the call. We'll get a list and we'll throw it all in the show notes. So people can find you and reach out and say hey and learn from your content. I've obviously I'm on your YouTube channel, but I've also looked at a lot of your other videos on there, and it's some good stuff. So our listeners, you guys take a look at RJ's stuff. He's a good dude trying to do good things for the community, and my hat's off to you. And my hat is better than your hat. I
was waiting for that.
That's awesome. Well, RJ, man, thank you so much for taking time to come on the show. I know you're busy, but we appreciate you sharing all your knowledge. And like I said, it was very useful for myself. I know it was useful for Travis, and I really look forward to letting the listeners hear it, because I think it's going to motivate them and give them, like you said, ideas that are a little bit out of the box from what you might typically think of for KDP or a print-on-demand business model. So thank you so much, man, for coming on the show.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
Well, there you have it. RJ Martinez did, in fact, take us to school on KDP. Travis, there's lots of stuff in there. I was writing notes as he was talking about ideas I'm having. There's so much you can do with KDP that I didn't even think about doing. I think when I think direct to publishing, like he was saying, you have to have some kind of Steinbeck, Hemingway novel that you want to put on paper, and it's got to be this really smash hit of a book. But coloring books, planners, like he was saying, log books where you're logging your workout, your exercise, your diet, your whatever. I didn't even think about that stuff, man. It's fascinating what you can, all the facets you can use KDP for.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were just putting up, they call it low content or something like that, but they were literally putting up journals and just lines of, and so it'd be like, unicorn journal, and then they'd put a unicorn on the front. Now, I don't know that that's, going to fly anymore, because I think that ship may have sailed by now. There's probably a lot of journals up there, but
sure. It's pretty saturated.
But the coloring book thing, there's always going to be a need for coloring books and unique coloring books. And I love the fact that he's using his existing assets and repurposing them, for another platform. And I love that. That's the idea.
Yep. Yeah, we talk about that all the time. Yeah, about maximizing your assets. And I think that's awesome. And, there's a big niche that I've noticed, in the last 5 years or so are adult coloring books, like coloring books with more intricate lines and more, adult suited content, as far as like, it's not just, Barney or a Muppet or whatever. It's more, scenic stuff, which I thought it was really cool. So thank you again to RJ for coming on to the show and imparting some knowledge, and I know inspiring me to pursue some different ideas, and hopefully inspiring you, the listener, to pursue some different ideas. So it's going to be super, super exciting. So before we put a bow on it, I told you before we press record for the outro, I was going to share a cool story with you and the listeners that happened this last weekend, and it just kind of proves that you never know who orders what from your store or an influencer store, or what happened. So I'm in Wyoming. I went to go visit some family for a quick trip in Wyoming, and I get a message from one of our influencers who happens to be a TikToker, and he says, "Hey, I have a VIP order. Order 1250 is in my Shopify stores for a VIP customer. Please make sure it goes out quickly. Blah blah blah." So I go into his back end. And the person that ordered it, the name says Kristen Bell. So I messaged him and I said, "You mean to tell me this is like Kristen Bell? He's like, "Yeah, no." And he sends me screenshots of these conversations he's had with her, sending her the link. And she's like, "Oh my God, I'm a huge fan of yours. And you're so talented and I love your content." And he records this voice message. He has a TikTok on his channel of him like gushing, like, "Oh my God, you're my Veronica Mars. You're my,
you're forking
Anna,
great.
Like, I love you so much. You're forking amazing." And she responds like, and then you can look at his comment section and it's like, "Oh my God, you couldn't be any more cute." And she's interacting with this dude. So we got an order from Kristen Bell that's going to her, house in Los Angeles. And it's wild. You never know.
To the good place. It's going to the good place.
Yes, exactly. It's going to the good place. So it's just wild. when you're working with influencers and even having your own store, you never know who's going to be placing an order with you. And now I'm 2 degrees from Kristen Bell. I know the influencer, and he knows Kristen Bell. So it's wild.
Wow,
it's absolutely crazy, man. So I just thought I'd share that story because awesome. It's pretty fascinating to think that something that we're printing is going to her. It's wild.
Well, I mean,
crazy.
Yeah, that's a really cool story. I'll just have one very simple piece of advice for you. Don't screw it up, Josiah. All right?
Yeah, exactly. No, I plan on printing it myself and recording it and talking about and leveraging social media, right? Talking about what I'm talking about here. Like, sometimes you never know when you're working with influencers what you're going to do, and just kind of in a TikTok form, chop it up, maybe tag her on Instagram, whatever it looks like. But the more exposure you can get for your shop and for the influencer, it's probably a win-win situation for everybody, and she gets to see her shirt being made just for her, So it'd be really, really interesting to see how that goes. So we'll have a follow-up and see if anything else comes of this order for Kristen Bell.
Yeah, man, you need. Oh, I was just going to say you need to post that in our Facebook group, our brand new Facebook group.
I will. No. Yes. Yeah, that's actually a great idea. I'll screenshot or take, the video of the shirt and, say who it's going to and provide as much evidence as I can and not, show everyone her address or her phone number for that matter. Because all of her personal details are, of course, in the order. So, but yeah, that's a great idea. And if you want to see this post, if you want to see proof that we're sending something to Kristen Bell, you can go find that at our brand new Facebook group, facebook.com/group/print-on-demand-cast. You can ask to join. We'll invite you into the family. Super excited to get that group going and use it as a place to grow community and grow conversation and and give advice to one another. I think it's going to be a really, really fun time just interacting with everybody there on that Facebook group. Where else can you find the podcast, you might ask? PrintOnDemandCast.com. And if you have a question for myself, for Travis, if you have a question for RJ that you would like us to relay to him, if you can't reach out, if you can't contact him through any of his channels, info@PrintOnDemandCast.com is how you can interact with Travis and myself. We love hearing from you guys. We love interacting with you. So please do not hesitate to reach out and let us know your thoughts on this episode. If you have any other questions, or do you know more about KDP than RJ? Are you challenging him for the KDP throne?
The gauntlet has been thrown.
The gauntlet has been laid down. So let us know if there's anything you feel like we missed on this particular topic. We'd love to hear from you guys. And of course, rate and subscribe on iTunes. But we're also on every other major podcast platform. Wherever you get your podcasts, there is the Print on Demand cast just for you. So with that, for Travis, I'm Josiah. We'll see you next time right here on the Print on Demand cast.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Print on Demand cast. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you've got a question or a suggestion for the show, send Travis and Josiah an email at info@printondemandcast.com. Take a minute to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe now so you don't miss next week's episode. See you next week.